Go ahead. Mm-hmm. You guys good with the notes and everything?
Heyo. Heyo. What's going on, everybody? Hi. I haven't even looked at the notes.
Yeah, he forgot how to read.
Where's were the traffic problems emails sent?
What?
Where were traffic problems emails sent? That is a live quote from Al Sharpton on MSNBC.
What?
That's what he said. Yeah. His brain would melt during his shows. And it was so fun to see.
New York staple, Al Sharpton.
New York staple. Yo,
Sounds
all our 80s like Gotham characters are back.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Curtis Sliwa is handcuffing himself to a migrant camp and getting arrested. Eric
Curtis
Adams
Sliwa.
is losing control and comparing himself to Gandhi. Did you see
Chuck
that?
Schumer's Dracula.
Chuck Schumer's Dracula.
Oh my
I'm
God,
like
you
Gandhi.
guys.
Do you know about Vicky Palladino?
What about Vicky Palladino?
She was she's been going nuts over the scooters everywhere. Yesterday on Bell Boulevard, they arrested like 5 scooter people.
Good.
These scooters are out of control.
They were on the street, right? They're on the sidewalk, not on the road.
On the sidewalk. No license, nothing.
If you guys have bike lanes, they should be using those. That's what I would think.
And God, those goddamn bike lanes. Let me get you. Don't get me started on those bike lanes.
They just
The
put one
worst
in
thing
by
they-
me.
Dude, they put one, okay? This is no joke. For anybody from New York, they put one on the out ramp of the Cross Island onto Northern Boulevard, and they put a barricade out, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And every day, a car will crash into the barricade for the bike lane. That is
Oh, my
never
God.
operated. Nobody uses the bike lanes here. Where the hell are you biking to?
Well, I don't know. People still bike on the sidewalk, which I you know what, in this area I understand because nobody watches where the fuck they're driving.
Yeah, but you know what? Grown-ass men should not be on the sidewalk. That's my problem.
I agree.
That's my problem. I got a ticket. I was 14 years old. They gave me a freaking $25 ticket for riding on the sidewalk at 14. Now it's a free-for-all.
You fucking jailbird.
I was going to run.
No, yeah, you're gonna book it.
I was going to book it. Let's see. Welcome back. Hey, yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Happy Friday, my 4.6s. Is that like a type of Quaalude? A 4.6?
Was that MG or Suncast?
That was MG. He
That
loves
was
drug
me.
jokes.
You're
He
starting to
loves
laugh like
old school drug jokes.
You're starting to laugh like Suncast, man.
God
I
bless
know,
him.
hang
Welcome
out
back,
with him
Andrew.
one
Thank
day.
you, Charlie. Thank you, Brian. Caddy, Michael, Rick, Connor, everybody here. JR, Large.
Getting ready for this
All
one.
right. Let me, did we tweet out that we're live?
I just did, yes.
All right. Okay.
Half a second here.
So MG, when you start, you could hit record, right? When we're starting.
Yeah, I can do it all. I can hit it
Okay.
all. Just give me 1 second.
All right.
I could do it all.
Well,
What's
That's
the difference?
questionable.
I know it. What's the difference between a 4.0 and a 4.6?
You gotta say that like Jerry though.
Hey, George, what's the difference between a 4.0 and a 4.0? I don't understand. It's a Range Rover.
It's very worried, Jerry. You do
Jerry,
a
very worried.
very anxious and worried, Jerry.
Jerry, I was listening to Unreason. What was the album? Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah.
Jerry, I was listening to Reasonable Doubt. George, me too. I don't understand. What's the difference between a 4.0 and a 4.6?
You're Jerry.
Jerry,
I love
the better album was It Was Written. That was the better album. What's
Oh,
wrong with
man.
you? The message.
okay. Be serious. We got to be serious for just a second.
Yeah. Okay.
Rich, when's your heart out? You said you had a heart out?
a hard out and a hard on. 11:30. 11:30, 11:35.
All right. Let's start this.
Okay, we need to get running then.
All right. let's put the camera on me. All right.
Yep. And
Give me a nice countdown.
okay, in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Matt Men, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Andrew Zarian. I'm back. I'm joined by the one, the only, the Jerry to my George, Rich Stambolian.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Jerry.
Our Jerry's both sound like really anxious ghosts. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that we are back with the show. We took a couple of weeks off. I had the worst 2 weeks of my life, which we'll talk about a little bit. But we're back and better than ever. So for people who don't know, I had to take a little hiatus. And I was very cryptic on the internet. I didn't want to really talk about it, but a lot of people reached out, and I didn't want to put it out publicly yet. But about 3 weeks ago, my daughter started limping. And we didn't know what was going on. And we, this is when MG needs to get better at the switching. You see, someone's telling a story, right? So you got to switch to camera one.
I think he fell asleep.
Yeah, he's done. He's back into the.
Oh, I'm here.
No. So I'm laughing now, but this was not a laughing matter. I have to laugh. So she started limping, and we couldn't figure out what was going on, and Jess was like, I got to take her to the doctor. I'm like, okay, yeah, you should take her to the doctor. So she goes to the doctor. By the way, she came back from Florida. She went, we had people over. It's the summer. You're running around. So we thought she pulled something. So we go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, it looks like it's probably like something that's pulled. It's swollen. I can send you for an x-ray, but like next week. But does she have a fever? And we're like, no, she doesn't have a fever. She's like, I'll do her temperature anyway. Does her temperature? She has a fever. And she goes, you should take her to the ER because this could be bacterial because she was in a pool. She was out at the beach. She had bug bites. So she goes to the hospital, and we're like, oh, in and out thing. They're just gonna give her an MRI. No, they end up admitting her. They take her blood. They see something in the blood that they didn't like, right? That's signifying an infection. So she, they want to admit her. So we're still thinking, okay, it's a bacterial infection. They admit her, and they're like, listen, she may need to be here for like 3 days to give her the antibiotics, but she's going to be fine. But they send her for an MRI, obviously, because there's some sort of inflammation happening. When they get the MRI results, everybody was shocked because a tumor appeared on the MRI on her femur. So immediately it goes from, hey, she's fine. She's probably going to, worst case, she's probably going to be here. Oh, wait, we don't think it's bacterial. She's probably leaving. We're going to discharge her to, oh, crap, it's a tumor. We have to schedule a biopsy. We need an oncologist. We need to get hematology involved. We need to get pathology involved. It went from nothing to the worst case scenario, okay? So at that point of the biopsy, now we get to like a couple days, a day or two later, they do the biopsy, and they're like, listen, the best case scenario is that we're going to have to operate. And it's like in the bone, so they're going to have to shave down the bone. They're laying everything out, and it's not good. I mean, they're not even ruling out cancer, okay? And that is the part that fucked us up.
Yeah.
Right? You get a great orthopedic surgeon, and you have this bump, and it's not pleasant. I mean, she's a gymnast, my daughter. So
yeah,
we, we're preparing for the worst case, right? This is LIJ. We're preparing for the worst case, and that is, it's malignant, the tumor, and even with like, I have enough friends, and I have to tell you, my buddy that's an orthopedic surgeon, I don't know if he would want me to mention his name. He's a fantastic. You know what? I'll mention Orlando Gonzalez. He operates out of Jersey. He's an ortho. He works with the Giants. He's an unbelievable ortho. He's like, Andrew, listen, there's a couple things here I'm not liking. Okay, on how the information's coming to you. So he definitely helped us out here. But he's like, look at the MRI would tell them, like, they should know, but they're not telling us anything. So obviously now you're thinking even worse, right? Because
Right.
these people they're not saying, like, listen, we don't know what it is, but it's not cancer, right? They're not doing that. They're like, no, you need an appointment with an oncologist, especially you need to find a specialist that's an orthopedic surgeon that specializes in
Right.
pediatric oncology to figure out the treatment plan and the process. I mean, this was the worst 2 weeks of my. This is the first time I'm talking about it too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody here is the first time they're hearing me lay this out. So, they do the biopsy, and that's like the worst like week you gotta wait, right? Because now it's like she's still hobbling around. She finally comes home after being in the hospital for like a week, and they call us. And they tell us that the biopsy was inconclusive, that they were not able to get the proper tissue sample, and they need to do another biopsy. And we're like, what the?
Yeah, it's wild.
The whole point of this whole process was, listen, you're going to do a biopsy on her, right? And we're prepared for hearing that, listen, it's benign, but we need to get the surgery. Or we were not prepared for the other part, right? The C word is very, very difficult and scary to deal with. But the fact that everybody was so quiet about everything, and the fact that we're not getting any information from the hospital, right? Like, once you leave the hospital, you're done. Nobody's talking to you. We call these people 8 hours a day to get somebody to talk to us.
Right.
Okay? And this is at one of the best hospitals that specializes in pediatrics in the East. It's one of the top hospitals on the East Coast. I mean, it really, there's nothing better than this. And it really put life in perspective. And listen, I'm not getting preachy here, right? But I'm gonna tell you. You deal with, and we're gonna talk about wrestling, I swear to God, but I need to talk about this. I don't look at my life as a privileged life, but obviously it is. I've created a life here. My family, created the foundation for me. I live in a good neighborhood. I have access to the best hospital. I have great insurance. And it was a fucking nightmare, right? Every step of the way.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would have been like if I was in a city hospital with no insurance and no ability to advocate for myself. Thank God my wife is a shark and she's able to, look, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting upset over this, but thank God she's a shark and she did not take no for an answer from these people. Finally, we get a call telling us the biopsy failed. It was inconclusive. They can't rule out cancer. It's definitely a tumor. It's there. And we need to now go to an orthopedist that specializes in oncology and pediatrics. We find an amazing doctor, okay? Here on Long Island. Here on Long Island. Like I'm on Long Island. We find an amazing doctor. We get in there. They get us an early appointment. We get bumped. We go to another appointment. So already, nerves are shot, right? This is last Friday. This is last Friday. And a guy walks in, and he looks at it. He's like, "What did they say to you?" And we give him the whole rundown. And he's like, "Well, I'm going to tell you something. This is not cancer. I can't rule it out 100%, but at all the indicators point it's not cancer." And he goes, "It's not a tumor." And I go, "What?" He goes, "This isn't a tumor." I go, "What is this?" And he shows me on the MRI. He's like, "Look, it's radiating up. Obviously, there's something here." He believes it's something called CRMO. It's like an autoinflammatory disorder where it like almost images as if it's a tumor, but it's not. And by the way, when he said it's not a tumor, I mean, I guess because you're so fucking nervous throughout this process, right? My wife and I looked at each other and we both mouthed the Arnold, "It's not a tumor."
Yeah.
Like in the most awkward, nervous way.
Yeah.
And we're like, "What do you mean?" They go, No. It's radiating up. He goes, "This is very rare. but it is common in girls, and he has 2 daughters, this guy. So he was more understanding of, he's like, he goes, the bone would be ravaged if it was malignant. I don't see that. I see it radiating up. This is what we're going to do. We're going to give her an x-ray in a couple of weeks. We're going to put her on anti-inflammatories, and we're going to do another image in a couple months. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, listen, I can't tell you 100%. I can't tell you, like, this is not, he's like, I can't do that. But he's like, I've been doing this a long time. This is what I look at all freaking day long. He goes, what happened here is every department has their blinders on, and they only look at what they look at. They don't cross-reference anything. If these people had read the second effing page of the biopsy where it says no cancer was detected or no tumor was detected, they would have been like, oh, listen, we didn't find anything. I don't even believe it's a tumor. But instead, they just read their part.
Right.
The two worst weeks of my entire life. It was, and by the way, you can't sue for emotional damage. It's nothing. You can't do that.
Right.
But this is the fucking system, and this is how it is. And listen, I've never experienced anything like this before. I hope I never do again. I can't imagine what it's like for people that actually get told the bad news. I had Palo Santo happening in my house. I had saging happening in my house.
Wow.
I had someone doing Santeria in the Dominican Republic.
Uh-huh.
I had a Polish priest come to the house from Poland. Maggie's family sent a priest from Poland to bless the house.
My godwife? My godwife's into that.
Your godwife. Your godwife sent a priest from Poland. This is how, I mean, you find God. You find whatever you want to find when there's something like this.
Yeah.
I happen to go to everybody. I can't believe I live this. I know you got a heart out, Rich. I'm sorry.
No. It's fine. It's more important than talking about wrestling.
But I couldn't believe the we were going through this. Like, it came out of nowhere. So now here's where we're at, right? They think it's this thing CRMO. She could have a flare up anytime. It's very common in girls, especially her age. We just got to keep an eye on it because it can fracture the bone, especially like the long bones. So right now, they do not believe it's cancer. They do not believe it's a tumor. They believe it's this thing CRMO. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, well, God bless, and fingers crossed, man.
Yeah.
When are you gonna finally know, like, the definitive answer?
Months, but they don't. I mean, this guy's like, listen, if I thought this was cancer, I would tell you, you would have to go. Like, you need to see an oncologist right now.
Right.
You gotta get it going. But there was nothing like that.
But how's she doing? How are her spirits? Is she in pain? Is she just like hanging out and being a kid? Yeah.
Like you remember, like, last year I broke my hip. I fractured my hip.
Yeah.
It's almost like that. You just need to give it a couple of weeks.
Mm.
So, I mean, I don't know how you want to transition into this. Into
pro wrestling talk?
I'm going to go into pro wrestling talk, but I also want to thank everybody that reached out.
Yeah.
Amazing. The support system around us is amazing.
Yeah.
WWE talent that reached out. AEW talent that reached out. People it really, I was at a point and I was like, you know what? This does not matter, right? Wrestling, it could go on hold. This is my passion project. This is fun for me. But, I mean, just the amount of people from the business of wrestling and the people that cover wrestling and actual wrestlers that reached out over the last 2 weeks, it was so nice.
Yeah.
It really was. You want to get into something's not so nice?
Go ahead.
I don't know if you saw this. You go to a double shot now, MG. But thank you again, and thanks to MG and you. You guys did the show last week. The last 2 weeks, it was it was good to keep it going.
Are you talking about the breaking news story you want to go into?
Yeah, we'll go into it.
All
But if you listen, I'll talk about it again. But I wanted to give everybody a nice little update on what's going on here. I thought it was I wanted to talk to everybody and do it like this. I didn't want to leave like cryptic tweets, so I wanted to just have the conversation like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a story. Cash Wheeler has been arrested.
Well,
Put
I
Sean's tweet
applaud
right
you.
on the screen.
Oh, here's
I
Sean's
applaud you.
tweet.
I applaud you for your openness in discussing it with everybody too.
Well,
by
thank
the way.
you.
That's
Yeah.
a tough thing. Let
Listen,
everybody.
it helps. Talking helps, and it makes everybody feel
Mhm.
better, and you don't implode, and it's a necessity. So on to some breaking news.
Very, very sad, depressing news.
Sad, depressing news. From one sad,
Yeah.
depressing news to another. Cash Wheeler has been arrested and charged by the Orlando Police Department
Oh boy!
of aggravated assault with a firearm.
Good lord!
AEW responded to my request. This is Sean Ross Sapp reporting this. Sean's request for a statement on Cash Wheeler's arrest for aggravated assault with a firearm. AEW has been made aware of the charge and is closely monitoring the situation. He is fully cooperating with local law enforcement. What happened?
Good lord! Mm-hmm.
Well,
assault
crazy.
with a firearm could also just mean he clocked somebody on the head with a gun.
Yeah, aggravated assault. So he with a firearm.
Yeah.
So maybe it was threatening. I don't know, but we're gonna find it. He was booked. When did this happen? Friday morning.
Wow.
Who
I
is
don't
he
know
fighting
any.
with a gun at Friday morning in Orlando.
You know what? I guarantee you, listen, don't quote me on this.
Yeah.
Probably some dumb road rage shit.
I hope it's not that.
I
hope it's a neighborly dispute.
Yeah, you want it to be like he's hey, do you know who I am?
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. This is we'll find out what happened. I hope it's not terror. I mean, listen, it's
You know what this might-
aggravated assault with a firearm.
You know what might happen, though? You know
What?
what this might affect? He might not be able to travel overseas with this pending. Mm. That's next weekend.
Yeah. What a
Mm.
bizarre business. Yeah, we got All Out next week, right? Or All In?
We got-
All In?
Yes.
Is it next week?
Yeah.
Yes, it
The
is.
27th, Sunday.
So, all right. Where do you want to go, Rich? You sorry, I hijacked the first half of the show.
No. Don't worry about it. You had to get it out there, man. You clear your mind, get it off your chest. Do you feel a little better at least?
I feel much better. Yeah, the
Good.
last couple days I've felt much better. I this was the first week of
glad.
like normal living.
Yeah.
So it's still like weird, but I think we're fine.
Good. Glad to hear it. You ready? Can you
Yeah.
hit me with that? Can you hit me with that owl things?
Ow, things professional.
Yes. So, going from one depressing wrestling story to another, I personally don't feel like we should spend a lot of time on this nonsense, but there's a lot of rumors about CM Punk like hoganing up Collision backstage.
Oh my god. I have to tell you, not the person that covers wrestling, but I find it like, ooh, what's next?
Yeah, it's very like soap opera-ish, and it's funny because obviously we like it for the soap opera aspect, but apparently like this is a whole thing, and we'll do it real quick. Last Saturday after Collision, CM Punk took shots at Adam Page, called him a peg warmer because nobody would buy his toys, but then apparently sent him a text to apologize. Adam Page was supposed to be at Collision, but then he was told he was not needed, and they made him leave.
Yeah. Okay. So, this. I don't know how to say this, right? Like, is he like he is doing this? He is doing a leg drop. I guess he's leaning into this Hogan thing a little bit, but I guess now it's like spun into. The report is that he doesn't want anybody back. Like, there's certain people, Ryan Nemeth, right? Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, were all booked and then unbooked. Christopher Daniels was not allowed to be backstage at Collision.
Well, because he was involved in the brawl in or whatever it was called.
He was involved in a brawl in. So do you want to run down this? Let's run down this, okay?
It's so ridiculous.
He called him a peg warmer, meaning I didn't understand it at first, and I'm like, oh, he's talking about like the pegs in the toy store.
Yeah.
He called him that. He did apologize to Paige for that. And it seems like, I mean, I genuinely think he started something and like he didn't know where he was going, and he ended up going somewhere he felt bad about.
Yeah.
But on the same day, Paige was told not to come into the building.
It's so weird.
Like, and do you know what the segment was that he had to film?
Was it the Kenny Omega ambulance thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that they could have done that anywhere.
Yeah. I think they did do it anywore. That did not look like the outside of a hospital.
And I guess he's drinking again. He's back to
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you start drinking if CM Punk was like, "Hey, buddy, go home"?
Yeah.
Your action figures got nothing.
So then on Observer Radio, Dave reported that Paige was flown to Collision to film that pre-tape, and then he was told no.
Oh boy.
Only to be told to go to the building. They would do it off-site, so I guess they did it off-site. It was also reported that other people were sent to Collision, told not to go. So here's the story. Ryan Nemeth and Punk got into a thing, right? Matt Hardy, I guess, is collateral damage with Isaiah Cassidy.
Sure.
Chris Daniels, he didn't want. He was told, and again, I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Obviously, last week. Chris Daniels was apparently told he was not allowed backstage at Collision, considering he's a producer. He's an agent, isn't he?
Right.
He's a head of talent relations.
He's a head of talent relations.
But he was involved with the thing, you know.
I mean, okay. And then there was a report that Jack Perry came to Collision taping to do a segment featuring real glass, and Punk stopped it. So I mean, is he sending Tony home this week?
This is where it gets interesting, though. Apparently, Punk thought he was trying to get out of working the next week, Jack Perry. So he was like, "Nah, don't do it." You know, really weird. Like, how is this news coming out? Like, who is like the Inspector Gadget man on the scene that is witnessing all of this stuff and then putting it out there? You know, because this is like a lot of shit. This is
CM Punk and the Island of Misfit Toys. This is what it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Like the Ryan Nemeth thing. I'm not saying I understand it, but you know, he did tweet out about CM Punk being like mad soft at one point, you know, and you know, Punk is protecting his fucking image and brand, you know, and he's like, hey, yeah, I don't want to deal with these guys. And he's like, you know what, fuck Matt Hardy too. I feel like the Matt Hardy thing is just like he thought of a name and was like, you know what, that's Matt Hardy also. I don't want him here.
So ROH tapings took place after Dynamite instead of Collision. Which included Brandon Cutler, Colt Cabana, and Chris Daniels all appeared. Right. All have beef with Punk or associated with somebody that it does. So what does this mean? How much power does Punk actually have? How much of this is rumors?
Yeah.
And is there another situation brewing?
I don't know, man. I feel like he's MG, and a lot of people who I know who are into this stuff and are really like attached to the news have all said the same thing, that it's like Hogan 2.0, which I find hysterical.
I mean, I don't know, man. You know, these are a lot of like half stories.
Right.
Okay, like you got to think like, okay, was he like, hey kid, don't go through real broken glass? What are you, an idiot? You know, to Jack Perry? Or what was it? You know, like I guess the depth of the conversation really has something to do with, like, if I'm working with someone and Ryan Nemeth, like let's say he, you know, I work with somebody and they go on Twitter and they talk about that I'm soft. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna be like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
But again, who knows? You know,
yeah,
I wonder if
wild.
it's like a lot of people that thought like Punk was never coming back, so they like shit all over him, and then he shows up and he heard everything. You know.
I think so. I think that's it, because it's, you know, tell a friend, tell a wrestler, and that could definitely be it, right? Like, F this guy, he ain't coming back, F him, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as he gets back, somebody stooges and is like, you know, that Dolph Ziggler Jr. was saying this, and you know what, you're not going to believe what Matt Hardy said.
Yeah, we don't know. I can't. Listen, I hear all the rumors, right? I get those texts, but if it's talent telling me, I find it always there's another side.
Right.
right? Like I don't think this guy is he probably very quick to agitate? Yes, I think he probably is. I think he's
100%.
irritable regularly,
I
but
think so, but that's always the case. That was always the case with the guy, right?
you know, like he's in his late 40s and now he's in the back and he's in a powerful position and he sees all these younger people doing stuff he doesn't like. He's gonna, I don't know, man. The wrestling business is very strange and it has very strange people. And sometimes you blend into the character that you're portraying on TV. I'm not saying that this is the case, but sometimes it is.
Well, let's take a step back, right? Let's take a step back and think about this from like a somewhat illogical CM Punk perspective, right? In WWE, he did not have the onus of his character, and it was basically do what you're told and that's it, right? The guy could have maybe told Tony Khan at one point, like, hey, if I'm coming back, like, I'm in charge. Like, no matter what, I'm in charge of myself and what I do and who I interact with. And Tony, not wanting to lose that investment, may have said, hey, you know what? Do what you got to do. You're the veteran in this situation. I trust you. And they built, arguably, a show that is better than Dynamite around the guy.
Honestly, I don't think Tony was like, yeah, do whatever the hell you want. I think
hey, buddy, do whatever you want.
I think it comes down to Tony is smart enough to realize that CM Punk is a very polarizing name that's recognizable, that many people at WBD very much like having him on their property.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that WBD pushed for this, but I do know from the conversations that I've had that, you know, Collision's future really relied on CM Punk.
Yeah.
And that in turn means, you know, it's a contract year. Whatever this deal is going to be, it probably relies on Punk and Punk being there in some capacity. And I think Tony knows this, and I think Punk knows this.
Absolutely.
So maybe he's using this for a little bit more for himself, you know? Like, he has more power. This is just how it is.
Like, yeah, it's fascinating, but it's also kind of gross to talk about because, you know, again, we always say this. It's millionaires doing whatever the fuck they do backstage, you know?
Yeah. I enjoy Collision a ton.
Yeah.
Did I enjoy Dynamite this week? It was a weird Dynamite.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to get everything in to build for this pay-per-view.
Well, you wanted that Jeff Jarrett match to be 2 hours long.
That Jeff Jarrett match needed to be even longer. It was really, I mean, it was everything out of TNA, like NWA TNA.
I feel like there's a lot of TNA kind of being peppered in lately, which
you think it's like his presence?
I don't know, man, but listen, Joker Sting, right? Joker Sting was like a big TNA staple, and I'm a fan. I begrudgingly admit that I do like Joker Sting.
I'm curious where they go from there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the Punk stuff. We'll see. They also have 2 titles now.
Sort of, right?
Sort of. Did we do a show on that? The X title? Have we spoken about this yet?
I think we chatted about it in briefly saying like, oh, it's cool that he's kind of aping the Ric Flair thing. You know, like the real world champion.
Yeah. So he's the real world champion. There's 2 titles. One has an X on it and one doesn't, and he's defending it now. So, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, is this leading to a match with Max?
You would hope so, right? You would hope that would have been the main event for Wembley.
Max is a good boy, by the way.
Max is a very good boy.
Max is a very good boy.
Very good boy.
Yeah.
Good boy.
Yeah. Very, very sweet and good boy from Long Island.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the blow off to all of this needs to be a ladder match. There's no question about it. You have 2 titles.
Whoa. Why a ladder match? Just because to hang the both belts up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you need that moment. You need this.
I don't want to see CM Punk in a ladder match, dude.
You think he's all rickety when he climbs it?
Yeah, man. I don't want to see that guy like go higher than the 3rd rope. If it was the short,
as high as possible.
You want like a 20-foot ladder versus MJF.
Yeah. So let's go to some news. We're gonna power through this, and we'll do a couple questions at the end. All of this week's AEW shows are branded Fight for the Fallen, and all the proceeds are going to Maui Food Bank to help with the wildfires. You know, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre match. It was a death match, right? It was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match.
Yeah.
It was a $100,000 sponsorship.
Great. And
all that's going to the Maui Food Banks.
Beautiful.
Saturday Night's Collision did 476,000 viewers. It was up 14.2% from the previous week. That went up against SummerSlam. So, you know, they're sitting here. It's going to be a rough fall. But they're building a new day for a new show. So we'll see where it goes. Edge says that Edge says his WWE contract expires after Friday's SmackDown with his match against Sheamus. His longtime trainer hinted also that Friday might be his last match.
Until he shows up at Wembley.
So that created, you know, Dave had said this a while ago, okay?
Yeah.
And I can't remember what show it was, and I think he brought it up this week also. Yeah. David said that his last match was going to be in Toronto this summer.
Interesting.
So I don't know, at the time they thought that maybe they were going to go to Toronto for something, and they ended up not doing it there. That was the quote. I remember hearing that he had like another year left, like last year, and he'd be wrapping up around now. Listen, I don't know his contract situation, but if it's his last commitment on the date, it's his last commitment on the date. If he doesn't have a non-compete,
right?
I mean, that would be tremendous if he showed up.
Wouldn't it be really effing cool, right? Because you still have the Christian situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, why not do? Listen, all right. I don't want to see Punk in a ladder match, right?
Yeah,
but
you want to see Edge and Christian?
I would love to see Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Bucks in a wild ladder match.
You could do a TLC.
Yeah,
you bring the Dudleys. Bring the Dudleys in. They're having a reunion. Bubba and Devon. I don't think Devon could go at this point. I think he's really banged up. But you could do something interesting.
I think you can get that one dream match in Chicago where it's Dudley's, Edge and Christian, the Bucks, and the Hardys in the possibly the greatest TLC match of all time. You know, I hope they don't get hurt, but I think it's a possibility, right? Especially if this guy does it the right way. He lets his contract run out. He can show up anywhere he wants, right?
I would be very surprised if he does show up at All In. I've never heard of this. This is all new. So listen, sometimes people speculate and they make the situation a lot worse for them, and because you're left disappointed. And sometimes you speculate and it's the most common sense thing. So,
well,
I don't know.
Could I give you guys chills right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Next week.
Yeah.
Wembley.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say Cash Wheeler can't go to London. Right.
Okay.
You have the Bucks in the ring. You have Dax in the ring announcing his partner. And it's Edge.
It's Edge.
They're buddies, man. Right? They helped him get back in. They helped him get back into ring shape. You know, like Edge trained with them and like for his WWE return. So listen, why not? Right? If this weird situation with Cash doesn't resolve itself, Edge is Dax's partner. Oh boy, howdy.
Yeah.
Just a matter of that time, what that date is, when we don't know that date. I mean, it could very well be after All In.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious about this. This is all interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, and then there was that Goldberg rumor floating around, right?
It just makes me giggle.
Goldberg and Edge in
Makes
Wembley?
me giggle.
They just spear?
Spear versus spear. So the theory, with the fan theory, our fan theory is Adam Cole's not making it to the main event, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have a theory on that yet. I haven't thought about it that much. I think they need to do that match. I think they need to. But if I'm gonna have a theory, I'm gonna say Adam is the one that turns.
Okay. That's kind of interesting too. I'm halfway invested into that storyline, but Goldberg versus MJF, why not at Wembley?
I mean, that is the match I want to see. I want to see Max try to maneuver around that match.
He just keeps hopping over the spear.
Lacey Evans done with WWE.
Great.
They pushed her. They stopped. I mean, I don't understand how you had a shoot military person, right? Like a legitimate person that was in the military, and you made her into a heel. And then Sergeant Slaughter and his daughter got mad at her.
So weird.
And Sergeant Slaughter's he was not a real sergeant. He was not in the military.
I mean, at this point, who cares, right?
Yeah,
At this point, he might as well be like he might as well be like an honorary sergeant, right?
Yeah. All In has surpassed 80,000 tickets distributed. There's about 3,900 tickets available. They're over 80,000. The current capacity size is 84,000. So this is getting close to a sellout. When is this last update from, MG?
That's like 4 days ago. Last time Russell Tix put something out.
Okay, that's the last time he did it. Okay, so I mean,
yeah,
they're
like the
moving
14th. I think this is from.
I think somebody told me they're moving like 140 tickets a day, which that makes sense.
And now they got a card, so.
And now they got a card, and the walk-ups also, so it'll be a sellout for sure.
Yeah.
The estimated paid is 74,000. There's 1,800 tickets on resale. Obviously you got to do your comps of a couple thousand people, especially in large stadiums. So that's all normal. But listen, man, 80 something thousand people in that building for this company that has gotten a little cold. It's a great indicator.
Yeah.
That it's not as cold as people think it is. It's just maybe the landscape of television shifting a little bit.
Exactly.
SmackDown highlights: Rey Mysterio won the United States title from Austin Theory. Edge set up his match with Sheamus for tonight, and Roman came out to thank Jimmy Uso. Roman Reigns came out to thank Jimmy Uso, offered him whatever he wanted.
MG, Mr. Gonzo strikes again.
Thank you.
That's
Jay
a
came
happy
out.
surprise.
Jay Uso
That's
came out.
That's your welcome back present.
Thank you. Jay Uso came out, ended up taking everyone out, and said to the camera that he was done with the Bloodline, SmackDown, and WWE deuces. So maybe he's going to All In.
Jey Uso versus Kenny Omega. Give it to me.
No, he's the tag partner.
Oh, that'd be amazing, right? Dax and Jay versus the Bucks. Deuces, Oozes. We need the Deuces, Oozes T-shirt.
That's a great thing. Ross, Seth Rollins accepted Shinsuke Nakamura's challenge for the title in the future. Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus ended in a double countout. And Cody beat Finn Balor. Judgment Day, with the help of JD McDonough, laid out Sami Zayn and Cody at the end of the show.
Cool.
All right. So let's go into Dynamite. So we could go through this. This was a very strange Dynamite. The pacing of the show was weird. I was texting with someone there at the show.
Yeah.
And it was not Will Washington. Everybody's going to be like, oh, you were texting Will. No, it was not Will. And I was like, the layout's weird. He goes, yep. So I guess everybody knew that they needed to get everything in here. Orange Cassidy defeated Wheeler Yuta to retain the AEW International title. The whole story was that, Orange is getting banged up here with the more defenses. So eventually I think they're gonna that's gonna be why the title's off of him. BCC came out, but Orange Cassidy got a cradle for the win. BCC attacked, which brought out the Best Friends, Lucha Bros, and a returning Eddie Kingston, setting up Stadium Stampede in Wembley.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. JR interviewed Kenny Omega at Daly's place. Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita attack Kenny. They cut to the hospital where Hangman was drinking a beer.
"Quote unquote" hospital.
Medical facility.
Yeah. I feel like they should have just kept the camera on JR's reaction the entire time.
I got
that looked awkward.
I got an interesting tweet from somebody here. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a DM from somebody. I thanked the person. They were asking how my daughter's doing. Okay. And people listening would get it, right? And I'm like, thank you. It's been a wild few weeks. I'm glad I was at LIJ, and they wrote the most magical children's local medical facility in the world.
Oh, wow.
That was the response I got from that person. You don't know who it is, right? You don't know who would say that. The most magical local medical facility.
I don't.
Yeah. I don't know who uses that term for Long Island, but Jericho answered Don Callis' question. Now this was a boneheaded move from Don Callis.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So he asks Chris Jericho to be part of his crew. Jericho is like, listen, I'm going to give you an answer next week. Don Callis shows up with a painting, I guess assuming that it's not, he's going to say no. Instead, Jericho says yes, and he's like, hey, let's see that painting. And it's Callis would have beheaded Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crappy of Don.
Why go through all that trouble?
Why go through all that trouble?
Why go through all that trouble of having a this guy's going to say no, let me make this painting. Let me commission this painting.
This led to Don turning on Jericho and Will Ospreay coming out to set up his match at All In. You know what? I kind of want to see that match. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I'm down with it. But are you where's the placement of the Ospreay Jericho match on the card?
I don't know. I mean, that could open it.
I think that would be a great opener, but you would again, like you would the build to this show is interesting. I'm not going to say it's bad, and the card is very interesting. Again, I'm not going to say it's bad. We talked about this a little bit in the group chat. How would you book the Wembley show? Give me like your top 4 matches.
It's unrealistic because the match should have been a tag for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you either could have done the 3-on-3, right? The Elite versus CMFTR. That would have been a mega match. But again, you don't need to sell it because the tickets are sold already. So you justify it as like, well, we don't have to do it here,
right?
Or we can't do it here because for obvious reasons. I would have had some sort of story with the title, but you want to kind of tell that story about that second title. So I understand that. I think some of it is politics that's affecting this. Some of it is injury because, if you really think about it, to have Bryan Danielson and Kenny at Wembley, that's a huge match.
Right.
And you know what? It continues the story that they only wrestle in stadiums.
Yep.
Okay. Obviously, that's not happening, so that took away. I do like that it's going to be Jay White and him, right?
Jay White. Well, I think it's the 3-on-3.
The 3-on-3, yeah, but it's going to probably lead to the singles eventually.
Yeah, which is great,
Which is great for All Out. I think the placement of this experiment, I understand why they're doing it because they couldn't do another date. This was the date that was available, and it was a great opportunity for them to take.
Yeah,
but it's so effed up with this second pay-per-view the following week. You gotta balance it.
Right. I think that's where this card is coming from. It's coming from a state of balance. And I know a lot of people aren't too hot on it, but let's take that Jericho match, right? On paper, would you rather see Jericho versus Ospreay or Jericho teaming with Kenny versus Ospreay and Takeshita? Since they have that Don Callis connection.
The singles.
Singles? Okay.
I like singles matches more than tag matches because this is like Weird Andrew logic. Like, I could recognize like an unbelievable tag match, and I'm like, wow, that's unbelievable, right? And I enjoy a great tag match, but I enjoy singles far more. Okay. I have seen far more singles matches that I've liked much more than tag matches.
Okay, fair enough.
Like if you remove FTR and the Bucks, or DIY, that was their name.
DIY right? Was Ciampa and
Ciampa and Gargano. Like you remove those from my thing, or like the Usos. I don't have a lot of tags left.
What about the Lucha Brothers?
They're good. They're great, but I'm not clamoring to watch them.
So you're not hot on the 3-on-3 Kenny Kota and Page versus Bullet Club and Takeshita?
I think it's going to be a great match. Yeah. I just like singles.
What would your ideal main event be for the show?
It should be for the title, and it should have been something that was. I want to say this without coming off like a jerk. I don't think the Page MJF stuff I do enjoy, but I want to see what they do next.
You mean Cole, Adam Cole?
What did I say?
You said Page.
Adam
understandable
Cole,
mistake.
Yeah, Adam. They add there's a lot of variance here in this. like MJF is the heel, but not anymore, and now they're tagged, and they're going for the ROH titles against Aussie Open, but there's also the Kingdom that's playing a part, and Roddy that's playing. Like there's so many parts where I don't know if it's hurting or if it's hurt because it's taking away attention from the match, or it's helping build it. I also had a rough 2 weeks, so my watching process was a little off.
Big thick roster too,
It's a huge roster, but you gotta. Listen. I know MJF Punk is the match. You need to have that match again.
Yeah.
And
MJF
for whatever reason, I don't know if it's political. I don't know if it's. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. I do think it's gonna happen or should happen, but the Joe thing is fascinating. I love that match. Him and
I
Joe,
think that's gonna be a great match. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great. And it's gonna be slow paced.
Yeah.
These two are great together, and you could tell a nice story here.
That would be a good show opener too.
And then he just leaves. He just books it.
Yeah, why not, right? Like if the rumors are true that this guy can't be in the building with any of these other people, open the show with Joe versus Punk, do 35 minutes, and then that's it. Get the crowd like real hyped up.
I also think they're gonna have to explain. Like CM Punk is saying he's the real world champion. Okay,
Right.
I do know that people were told not to use that as much as they have been. Because I think people are getting tickled by the real world champion.
Absolutely.
But you're going to have to... Like a couple of weeks ago, right? MJF was on Collision.
Yeah.
Right? He's the world champion. But you also had another person saying he's the world's champion, and nobody acknowledged anything. Like, I would be like, no, it's me, MFer. I'm the world champion. You lost your mind and left.
I think it's going to happen.
Brought back a title and you put an X and now it's like your title. Like, no, I'm the world champion. What the hell are you talking about?
So now logically, you have a week to do this, right? Well, you have 2 weeks to do this. So let's say MJF wins, right? Is the main event of the Chicago show Punk versus MJF?
No, you have a week to do this.
Right. Well, 2 weeks, technically. You have, like, this coming week and then the next week, right?
Yeah, it's the 27th, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the 3rd. You have another show on the 3rd, yeah.
So, wouldn't that be your ideal main event for the Chicago show?
But you haven't built anything for that show.
Yeah. Honestly, I really don't think they need to because that crowd is so hot. Chicago,
I don't know, man. That collision tickets are not selling, and that show, they'll probably sell out that show. That show will be a sellout because it's 9,000 people in the building, 10,000 people in the building. But
they over deliver for the Chicago crowd also,
Yeah. So I mean, I guess Joe and then who?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then who? Ricky Starks? Does Ricky Starks play another part in this?
I don't want to see the Ricky thing. I don't want to see the Ricky thing. Who's the heel? Who's the face? It is what it is. We got 10 minutes here.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes, guys.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Do you want to do Q&As? Let me just go fast through this and do Q&As.
Yeah. Let's do Q&As, guys. Also, when we do the Q&As, if you want to see Mr. Gonzo dance, feel free to super chat
Jesus
us.
Christ.
Yeah, he does a dance.
Go ahead.
Darby and Nick Wayne defeated Gates of Agony. Prince Nana was kidnapped by Sting.
Joker Sting.
Sting said the wrong date. He's like, we're 9 days away, and Nana's like, no, it's 11.
Yeah.
MJF and Adam Cole were bonding at an Outback Steakhouse. They want to do a kangaroo kick. Okay.
Real quick.
Jeff Jarrett,
Real quick. That Sting said that he was gonna jump AR Fox. So last night they went to his showcase at his school and did jump him, and it's pretty cool. It's a cool little video. So they paid it off.
I didn't see the video yet. I know that they did it though. Let's see. Jeff Jarrett defeated Jeff Hardy in a Texas Chainsaw death match. There was a lot of fake blood. Leatherface showed up from FMW and Wings.
I had to explain it to my wife.
Some work. Yeah, nobody got it. And people are like, why would Leatherface be in wrestling? I'm like, and I was going through my time. I'm like, okay, I guess, maybe Tony really likes, FMW and wings. I went down
so
that
good.
rabbit hole of the Victor Quinones promos.
Oh, absolutely.
Leatherface!
I had to explain to my wife the Leatherface because it was the promotion for the game, but then I was like, there was a Leatherface that wrestled in Japan and all over the world, and there was a Freddy Krueger too.
The most daunting part of Victor Quinones in Japan is him cutting a promo. He's Puerto Rican, right? Victor Quinones? Or what was he passed away? Puerto Rican. And he's doing like a by today's standards, like a kind of a racist Japanese accent.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, he's speaking English with a little bit of a Puerto Rican accent, but trying to speak as if he is Japanese, because I guess, like, in his mind, if I had a Japanese, like, accent to the words I'm saying, they'll understand it better. I think it's the most bizarre and daunting part of all of it. But I also really like when he goes, Mr. Pogo! Just screams random names.
That's like when, like, I know a lot of white people are guilty of this, when they talk to an immigrant and just talk louder as if they can understand
it's like that. Yeah. It's imagine if I see a Persian guy and I'm like, Ravi, how are you? You have to make left at gas station and then you have to go straight. Like, can you imagine?
I would love to see. I want you to get signed to AEW as the Persian Piper.
Oh, man. I got the outfit already and I could smell Persian very quickly. You want to see what I do?
Yeah, please. He's grabbing something from the shelf. Okay. Oh, is that a big Drakkar Noir?
No, it's a big Savage by
Ooh,
Dior.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's all I do.
Dude.
I just stink up the joint with Savage.
Oh, do you make the cloud and then walk into it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, let's get moving. We got questions. I got to get out of here in 6 minutes.
I know. Sorry. Let's do some questions fast.
All right, MG, throw that super chat up. And guys,
so
if you want to see MG dance, shut up. If you want to see MG dance, send us some money.
Yeah.
So before we do questions, I do want to follow up on this. Sean retweeted the offense date listed as July 27th, and an affidavit to issue a warrant was on July 28th. So they now got around to this. So this has been something that they probably have known about.
So
he did this already.
He did this.
Yeah.
July 27th.
Okay. Here you go. First question.
Yeah.
As part of the new I'll read it.
Okay.
As part of the new TV deal, could WBD force TK to either hire like a real GM figure to help oversee the day-to-day, or make TK relinquish some booking duties so he can focus more on his president GM duties? Interesting.
I think it goes hand in hand, right? Like, I don't think you would need like a GM figure, but Tony seems like he can spin a lot of plates.
I don't think I've never heard WBD being like, oh, he's having problems. I don't think they care about that. I think they care about the consistency of TV ratings.
Right.
I do know that when the initial Punk stuff was happening, there were a lot of people talking at WBD, and it kind of reminded me of something that Eric Bischoff said. I can't remember if it was in his book or an interview, but he said, like, these people are laymen. Like, they don't follow wrestling. They don't understand, like, the work shootiness. They don't understand, like, they come from the real world. So they don't. I mean, now, listen, I think people are a little bit more conscious about mainstream publications and news online and kind of, like, sourcing. Like, I hope people are. But they don't, like, if it's, I don't want to name a wrestling website, but let's say it's Fightful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Fightful has a big name, or Observer has a big name. They'll read it and read it as if it's like a regular publication, like if it's Sports Illustrated or whatever. They think this is an industry magazine. What they don't really realize is many of these sites are just willy-nilly putting stuff out. So
right.
That can affect it, but I think people are a little bit smarter than that. But I haven't heard any kind of conversation like, oh, he needs to relinquish. I do know that there's importance in structuring and having a process now in that company.
Yeah.
And Tony's aware of it, and everybody there is aware. Like, you need to create the corporate structure in the back. But I don't think it's gotten out of hand. I think some of it is just like, well, this is wrestling.
Yeah.
And this stuff, by the way, happens in WWE also. They very much subscribe to the loose lips sink ships mentality in that company.
Oh, for sure.
They know the repercussions of talking out of line. And I don't think I think they're a little bit more reserved with what they put out publicly.
Great answer. Next question. MG, hit it.
Special thanks to Trust the Process 34 seconds to big super chat in a row.
Thank you.
If Elite Punk ever reconcile, wouldn't it not leak? People keep purporting that they've not made it up, but even if they did, I assume we'd never know. Otherwise, their feud loses intrigue. Thanks, AZ.
I think they will reconcile because they all know the money that it's a big money match. Big money for the company. Yeah. It's a big viewership match. Like, when I mean money, I don't mean that they're going to put money in their pocket specifically because they're going to get a piece of the gate. But, it creates intrigue and it creates viewership. It creates, more intrigue with advertisers and network push. So I think they understand the importance of the match. I don't think they are. I don't know if it's going to happen soon, but I do expect them to make up.
Yeah, give the fans what they want. I think, AEW has been pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. We got time for one more. Do you want to take over with MG and I can bounce?
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do one more and then I'll get out of here.
We got a Greek question. Did you see that in Greek?
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to read it in Greek. You ready?
Go ahead.
Okay, pull up the Greek one.
There it is. Greetings from Greece.
No, there was a different one. It was all in Greek. How did it get translated?
Oh, was it?
No, there's one Michael wrote.
It's right in front of you.
Michael
Thomas Banchitz.
Yeah, he wrote in Greek. I'm going to read it. You want to see me do it? I can read Greek.
I definitely want to see you do this before I get out of here.
Okay, pull it up.
Oh, there it is. Okay, now I see it.
There it is. He's saying, did you guys hear the news? Wheeler has a gun. Greetings from Kefalonia.
Wheeler has a gun. Very good.
The only part I could read is Kefalonia on the bottom. So there you go.
That's it. Yeah. I thought that said Avdalemina, Euro, Souvlaki,
Malaka, Skata.
Just all the words we know in Greek.
My grandmother would go tafas exilo constantly, and then I would ask her what I'm eating. She would go skata. She's so aggressive, my grandmother.
MG, are you ready to take over?
Yeah, I'll take over. Thank you, Rich. Sorry.
Yeah, all right, love you guys.
All right, later, Rich.
All right,
no worries.
Let's do a couple more.
Goodbye.
Let's do a couple more here.
Yeah, let's do a couple more. Here's one from Alex. I'll pull this one back up. Greetings from Greece, my friends. Can't wait to travel to London next week for All In. It's WrestleMania for us Europeans. It really is.
Yeah.
Any news on Mercedes being there? Also give me a huge surprise. I doubt it. They're doing that show on Sunday in Philly, and Julia's going to be there for New Japan. And if she showed up anywhere, I think it would be there. But she's 3 months. She's only 3 months out from whatever ankle issue she had. So,
give me like next week's show. Maybe I'll have some surprises. I've been out of it for 2 weeks, but I know that I know that they wanted a surprise. I don't know if they got the surprise or they were able to pull it off, but I know they were working on some stuff.
They got to have something big, right? You would think that this is going to be a pretty big show.
I don't know if they need to. I think if the matches are like 5 stars all around, then I think people are going to watch it and be very happy and go home.
Fair enough.
You got to book. They got to book like 30 matches. Can you believe that for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
How many matches? Each it's like insane between the
so they only
have
one. Yeah. So only one match is scheduled for All Out as of now, and that's the Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin match for the TBS or TNT title. So that's it.
Right now, now we got 8 matches officially announced. I guess 9 if you add 9 when you add
Samoa Joe, CM Punk.
Samoa Joe Punk, yeah.
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 So that ought to be good. Okay, so this is one that come up this week, and I don't know what to make of this. Your thoughts on Asuka's Twitter rant about Stardom and the Japanese media? Do you think that it may have something to do with Io Sky?
What was it? I missed it.
So apparently this had something to do with a beef with when Asuka left Japan at some point. It's like a 10-year-old thing. She's claiming that they started Stardom because of her, and it had to do with the Japanese media. It's very bizarre. I don't know what it was, it was. Honestly, I have no idea about this one, but it was kind of weird. I don't think it has anything to do with Io Sky. If you're implying they're setting up something, I don't think they would get that granular on it, that low level on something that long ago, because Io Sky was one of the ones that benefited from Stardom. So
yeah,
that's all I have. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. I already read that one. Here's a funny one. Will you spend the rest of the time booking the invasion? No.
I would have done it so much better with what we had. I would have done it so much better with what we had.
Okay. We really don't have. Okay, here's another one.
Let's do two more.
Yeah. Okay. So what sponsored match do you want to see happen?
Oh, I want to see a Blue Chew sponsored match. I want to see a For Him sponsored match. You could do a For Him sponsored match, and the winner gets a supply of finasteride to keep your hair intact, and the loser has to shave their head.
Oh God, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I was thinking if this was like Attitude Era, it would be a Blue Chew sponsor, but it would be a women's match. I don't think it would work now, though. All right. How do you juxtapose success? This is from Big Ben's, by the way. How do you juxtapose success of All In sales versus AEW's decline in domestic sales? Seems more and more that All In is a one-time anomaly.
Yeah, first time in the market, right? First time in the market,
Mm-hmm.
first time in a big market. So you've already told people this is important. The media and the marketing that has gone into this show is tremendous.
And just that this is historical. This is one of those things you want to be there.
And I think a lot of people got on that train. You know, Europe clamors for American content. It's historically known, especially for live content, right? It's because you don't get it too often. And when, like the Jaguars go to play, or there's something happening there, an American product goes overseas, it always does well. So I think the anticipation, it was going to do well. I think the 80,000 is the surprise here. 60,000 was very realistic. 80,000 is, I'm shocked by it, actually. And I think a lot of people within AEW were surprised, happily, because the number I had heard was the soft number was 64,000, 65,000. They wanted to, set it up. But that first day of ticket sales of 40-something thousand tickets sold was huge. Decline in North America, yeah, because people have seen it, and they haven't. There's two thoughts here. One, their success was first time matches with people that you like.
Yes,
and you got to see it happen. And these were matches you did not see on TV, and the style was not WWE style. And I think they're still doing great matches. I think what happened, WWE got hot, and there's only X amount of hours of content to watch. TV viewership habits have changed. From the time that AEW started on TV to now, there's been a decline of X amount of percent of TV viewership, linear TV viewership. I think for the first time ever, it's below 50% of media consumed. It's linear TV. So that's played a part in it. But I think right now, and also the markets that they've been in, they did a 1-month Canadian tour that was unnecessary, in my opinion.
So did you see, I didn't put it in the notes this week, but I did find it in the WrestleTick had it. Did you see the Dynamite before All Out? I get them confused. That Wednesday, they only have that building, the same building we were in, now Arena. They only set up for 4,000.
Yeah, and remember, there is 10,000 people coming to that show.
Mm-hmm.
You have it. So, last year I think it was like 6,000 they had in that building. So there is a little bit of a decline, but you got to keep it fresh. And I think right now they're in a transitionary period. Punk was out. The Bucks were out. Elite was out. You know, they lost Cody. They're building new talent. They have ROH still looming in the back. There's a lot of these moving parts here, and I think there's a lot of politics playing. So
I do think All In or All Out. I'm sorry, at United Center is doing well. I think it's over 10,000 sold or something like that. So
for
that's
where?
on
All Out? I don't think they have 10,000 yet.
Yeah, it's. I saw the number. It looked like it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. They're on par. All right. Let's do. So we're getting one more super chat here.
All right,
This
let's
is
do
from Glick Foley. Do you think AEW could have branded the Wembley show as All Out, eliminated the second show issue, and been successful, or do you think All In branding was important? I think I agree with this.
Yeah,
I would have.
Well, I'm going to tell you why the All In branding is important, because they want this to be the yearly WrestleMania for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the issue here is that this was the only date that they could do it, but they had already committed to All Out, and they don't want to break that tradition.
And something else I thought about this week was maybe this had something to do with availability of wrestlers with the G1 going on, knowing that you wanted to get some of those guys.
You also had that problem too. Yeah, you had that problem going on.
So that's why all the angles ran this week, because they were all in the G1 until this weekend, this past weekend.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So I understand. I think the problem is that it's too close, but they wanted this was a trial to see if that brand works. You know, they could announce Jacksonville for next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and run a stadium show in Florida, and it's their own hometown, and they'll do well in Jacksonville.
Essentially, the arena is free for them, so
yeah, there's no cost there really.
Stadium.
But the question is, what do you draw in North America if you run this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if 80,000 would be even remotely close. I don't know.
I mean, I think if you do it right, it could be, but Jacksonville is always a soft market. If it were in Orlando or Tampa, it'd be a different story.
I don't know about that. I don't know what their assessment is of a big stadium. Like, they're running Arthur Ashe right now, right? That's a 21,000 person stadium. They're going to be nowhere near there this year. By the way, those ticket prices very expensive.
Are they? Did they go up?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's do one more.
Okay. All right. Yep. This one more. This is from Alex again. One more question, guys. I asked Andrew before I went to Money in the Bank if a WrestleMania in Europe is a possibility. Was excessive All In? Do you think maybe there's a chance now after their when they were at Money in the Bank? The fact that they teased it with Cena, I would say they're definitely want to, right?
I think they want to. I think that
they want to get paid for it.
I think that John Cena thing was interesting. You know, he came out and he was saying that it's time that WrestleMania gets it. But again, it doesn't matter anymore. You don't have a pay-per-view buy. You're paid for already. So you could put on that show at 2:00 in the afternoon. Who cares?
Right.
Pro Wrestling Joe has a question. Yes, Pro Wrestling Joe, you could ask a question.
Says I can ask a question.
I do have some news on Max, but I need to hold it. I was told to hold it because a part of it I couldn't confirm, and it's the most important part. But I'll probably drop it next week.
All right. So, let's see. Okay. So I had one here. Okay. So we're going to pull this up. This will wrap us up.
Yeah.
Tyler D says, love you, man. Mean it, Andrew. Got a 5-year-old and you are the same age. Got me in the feels, man. Praying for the best for your little
Tyler,
one.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. You know, it was wild. It just very strange feeling.
Okay, and this will wrap it up. This is his question, Joe's question. Yeah. You said months back you heard something that suggested MJF wouldn't hold the title through 2023. Is that still the case, or can you reveal what the story was?
If
now?
You tell me when I said it, I could probably give you more context to it now. I know I said it. I can't remember what my reason was, what I had heard.
Yeah, I vaguely remember us bringing that up, maybe more than once, but you're right. I can't remember exactly when.
But
Mhm.
I want to say it was before Collision started,
Mm.
and I think
And
it's before the concept of Punk coming in with a second title. I can't remember what
okay,
month it was
all
that
right.
I said.
Yeah,
But,
well,
mean,
I
it's
think
still
it's
possible.
when
I don't know. He could still lose it. I gotta look back in my little book of notes.
I'm pretty sure it was when we did the when he started doing the 2024 thing, and just right after he won the title, and he said that was his promo. He was gonna after the whole thing with Tony Khan. So I think that's when it was. It was around that
Maybe
time.
2 or 3 months ago, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta let me think about it. Remind me, please.
Okay. And okay, so Tyler D just sent a super chat with the
Thank you.
same statement. So thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you so much.
Do you want anything else, or do you want to call
No,
it there?
I think I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna go into the city. I gotta go to work. Guys, thank you
Okay.
so much. This was a blast. I'm gonna be back on Sunday with Wrestling Observer Live. And once again, I appreciate everybody that reached out. It's been it was a rough couple of weeks, but we're on the upward now. So I'm sure this week I'll have a bunch of news to drop for you guys. So follow me on Twitter at AndrewZarian, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.
Recording stopped.